Hey folks, welcome back to On Texas Football and welcome back to our spring position previews. We're in the secondary still, talking about the safeties this time around. And I am pleased to be joined by my good friend, the newest member of the On Texas Football family, Jeff Howe, and of course the estimable Gerry Hamilton joining us. Of course, this preview of the safeties, spring position previews, brought to you by our good friends at Von Lane, vonlane.com. We'll tell you some more about them toward the end of our preview. But gentlemen, talking about the safeties, this is one of the deepest rooms, all right, on this team and on this roster. And they even got more talent, probably some of the most high-end talent you can get coming in this recruiting cycle, also at the safety position. They do lose Andrew Makuba. He has departed for the NFL, and I actually think he's going to have a pretty good NFL career. Big fan of Makuba's game. But still, you got Taft coming back, as an All-American. Then you got guys like Derek Williams and Xavier Filsaime, Jelani McDonald being that movable chess piece. Guys, with Coach Akina now at the helm, coaching the safeties, and also kind of the pass game coordinator over the secondary. I can't tell you guys, I might be more excited about the safety position right now than I am any other position potentially on defense.
Rod, I just wanted to say, you played for the man. With the term "bad eyes need not apply," is that the starting point for Dwayne?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, your feet go where your eyes go. Coach Kendall always say, your feet go where your eyes go. Your feet are going where your eyes go. So I already know, guys with bad eyes, they will not be getting much playing time in that secondary, Jeff.
No, and Jelani McDonald has good eyes. Michael Taft has good eyes. With Derek Williams being out this spring, Gerry, I'm interested. Xavier Filsaime is a guy that we didn't see a ton of at all last year. Jordan Johnson-Rebel probably got more run than I thought he would get. So you've still got some young guys. Zealous Hicks as an early enrollee, a kid that reclassified. So it's not just the veteran talent, the names we know, it's the young talent. I mean, the depth and talent at that position compared, you go back to Sark's first year to where it is now, it's improved in terms of depth and talent as much as any position on the roster has since 2021.
With Dwayne coming in, Jordan Johnson-Rebel, and we're going to go through all these guys. I'm going to take you back to what Billy Miller, the former head coach at IMG, is now Bill Belichick's staff at North Carolina. When I went to IMG, I asked him about Jordan Johnson-Rebel. I said, kind of tell me about him as a player. He said, well, he's one of the leaders of the IMG program. And I was like, well, that's a big check mark because that's a bunch of future Power 4 and NFL players. He said, I can play. He can play off the ball. He's got the instincts and the vision to do it. I can play him in the box because he's physical enough and reactive to do it. He said, I could play him at nickel. And I said, well, I don't know how many boxes I'm supposed to have, but I checked them all. But Rod, he's not the tallest guy. He's not going to run as fast as a Xavier Filsaime or Jonah Williams. But is he going to end up being a similar guy to Michael Taft? Just instinct and effort and knowing where to be at all times and communication and understanding all of it. He really intrigues me. This spring, I think Xavier Filsaime from an athletic standpoint, he was more of the raw prospect coming out of high school. And now he's had a year to bake or whatever the term you want to use is. Yeah. And then with Zealous Hicks and Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams is a hell of a talent. Rod's broken that down before. Jeff, I don't think we've ever talked about Jonah together on a show, but I mean, they have a boatload of talent. The interesting thing as we get into this is Jonah Williams not going to be part of spring football. And how much does that set him back? I mean, it's one thing to sit in the meeting room. It's another thing to take part on the field, and he's going to be in baseball.
Yeah. Here's my thing with Jonah Williams. I've thought about this, Gerry. I think it's a good spring for him to get his feet wet. If the two-sport thing is something he really wants to do because he's recovering from the clavicle injury, this is a really good spring for him to do it and decide, okay, next spring you may have to pick one, even though you're really talented at both. To me, I think he'll be fine as long as, and I don't know this, but this is just something I've hypothesized. By the time summer conditioning starts, that's usually around the time the NCAA baseball tournament starts. If he's not in a position, and I don't think he will be in a position to help the baseball program at that point, does Schloss just leave him off the playoff roster and say, okay, why don't you go work out with Sark and go be with football now? You've done enough here. You've done a good job. So I know Schloss and Sark have been working on, they've got an agreement and they've tried to manage Jonah Williams' time. So I think as long as it is going to sting for him to not get the reps in the spring, Gerry. But I think as long as he's there for the start of summer conditioning and it's just football all the way through the summer into camp, I think he'll be fine and be able to contribute.
Yep. Really important spring, as you guys just mentioned, Derek Williams, he's going to be out this spring. Jonah Williams, not going to be really participating in the spring other than kind of observing and kind of learning the safety position, but obviously not participating. Those young guys who are going to be eating up these reps. You just talked about Jordan Johnson-Rubel, Xavier Phil Sammy's another guy. Jelani McDonald's out there. Of course, he's already established. I think that the Longhorns, aside from the guys who are going to be participating in spring, I think they got 3 starters, in my opinion, at safety. Yeah. I think, of course, Taft's an All-American. I think Derek Williams is a starting caliber player. I think Jelani McDonald's a starting caliber safety as well. And just watching film, and I haven't been able, obviously, to gather much on the young man since he came on campus, but just watching film on Xavier Philsami and looking at his ceiling, I think he could end up being one of those guys too. It's why it's a big spring for him as well. Him and Jordan Johnson-Rubel. I think those 2 guys, in my opinion, it might be the most important spring for them at this safety position, considering what's already been established with Derek Williams, with Michael Taft, and with Jelani McDonald.
Yeah, I totally agree. And because that's where it gets, when programs recruit to the level Texas had, or Alabama, or Ohio State or Georgia, we're talking Texas though. Those guys that either played a little bit as a freshman or redshirt as a freshman, when you're in a program this talented, the guys coming in right behind you are just as talented as you are, if not more so. So this is a window for those guys. I'm not going to say you can't make your mark if it takes you 2 years versus 1, but I am here to tell you that somebody's going to win or lose second team spots. And if you lose second team spot to a guy younger than you, that's a tough place to be. So Jordan Johnson-Rubel, Xavier Philsame, because of the reps they're going to get, this is a huge spring for those guys to make their mark, to lock in that they're part of this 2 deep and in this rotation, pushing for a starting job, whatever it may be. But if we come out of the spring and we're hearing, man, Zealous Hicks, man, maybe more maybe ahead of Xavier Philsame, that ain't good for Xavier Philsame because Texas is going to bring in 2 more really good ones next class.
Yeah. The other thing to consider too, Gerry, is you need to make your move this spring, because if you don't, Jonah Williams will be there this summer, and it's only a matter of time before Derek Williams gets back, and that's a starting caliber player, and we all know how talented Jonah Williams is. So I don't want to say for Philsame and JJR specifically, I don't want to say it's now or never, but it would be in your best interest to make that depth chart climb this spring and force Dwayne Akina and that secondary staff to say, yeah, this guy needs to be in our 2D.
Hey, and Rod, I will throw a question to you. To me, when I look at the parts of the secondary, with the understanding Orfe's new, Kenoto Hudson in a way is new, and Dwayne Akina is new. Yeah. I mean, it's fresh eyes on all these guys.
True.
But if at the end of spring practice we heard Gilbo's going to be a corner and Jelani's going to play nickel, that means the young safeties are really impressing. I don't think you can make that move without the young safeties looking really good.
That's a great point, Gerry. I agree with you. I think because Coach Kid is all about trying to get the best 5 DBs on the field. That's why we've ended up with these kind of weird looking secondaries sometimes. I played one with, Ahmad Brooks and Nathan Vasher at safety and me and Jammer at corner, with some weird freaky secondary sometimes. And this is when position flex plays a huge role. And Texas has been really, really prioritizing, versatility, position flex, multiplicity with their DBs. Matter of fact, I screwed up. We did our cornerback breakdown. I had Warren Robeson as a safety because he came in as a safety, but he's played corner last year for them. And hell, it's probably a guy that probably could play both. So my apologies to Ron Robertson, who was running second team corner along with like Kobe Black and those guys. But getting back to it, he's another guy that if he can't find reps at one position, say it's 2 stacked there, Coach Akin has a long history of allowing guys. Ahmad Brooks was one of the ones I remember allowing them to switch positions and potentially go get more reps at another position if you have the flexibility. And there are a couple of guys, Jelani McDonald's got that kind of flexibility. You mentioned Jordan Johnson-Rubel, another guy with that kind of flexibility in that secondary. I think they got a couple of guys that may be able to move around if they need to just try to get their 5 best DBs on the field. And I think that's going to be important, Jeff, because if you're loaded at safety like I think you're going to be, you need a little bit of flexibility trying to make sure you get your best lineup out there. And I think Jelani McDonald is probably the chess piece that allows you to do so.
Yeah. I'll also say too, since we mentioned special teams on some of these breakdowns, the safety position, kind of like linebacker and running back, this needs to be a position group where you get some core special teams guys out of your safety room. Covering kicks, covering punts, return units. Rod, now that Coach Akina is back, the posse might be a thing again. So bring back that punt block unit. Yeah, that's one thing, Gerry. We didn't see Texas go after a ton of punts last year. It didn't seem like Jeff Banks was as aggressive last year as he has been in previous years. So maybe that's a Dwayne Akina influence that comes back. But yeah, again, this has got to be a room where you get some really good special teams players coming out of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. And I think that is what happens when you recruit at the level Texas is. I think that becomes easier. Now, last year they graduated 2 great gunners the year before. I mean, Keaton Crawford and Rob. I mean, they're just really, really high level guys, especially the tandem. But I think that's what happens when you recruit these really talented young guys. You have those athletic bodies and frames to put out there on special teams. And you know what? I think it's underrated. It's underrated how much maybe we or fan base talk about it. But Rod, coaches see a guy that's willing to do the job and is excited about doing that job, even though that's not necessarily the job they were recruited to play. And that gets them a lot of check marks, man, in coaches' offices.
Totally agree. Even when they ask guys to move positions. Right, guy comes in one place like, "Hey man, are you willing to move position?" Like, I'm just willing to play, coach. I just want to play, no matter where y'all need me. Right, that Rojo attitude. Where do you need me, coach? Put me in. All right, and I'll give you A+ effort, and I'll give you A+ execution and focus. And I think that's what you're talking about in this safety room with these high level guys you've recruited. So I agree with you, Jeff. I think a lot of these guys, their frames. Look how big these safeties are now.
Yeah,
they're recruiting guys. I mean, Zealous Hicks is what 6'2".
Yeah, probably 200 pounds by August.
Jonah's 6'3", over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Derek Williams is he's no slouch. He's about 6'1 and a half, 195, somewhere around there. I mean, the guys that they're bringing in now, even Xavier Fieldstame, he's probably 6'1 plus. There's definitely a trend with the size, and like going back, you said, Jeff, these are the types of athletes because size and speed, they're prioritizing in the secondary, length as well. These are definitely your core special teams guys. That's why Coach Akina was a mad scientist with special teams when he was here, because he had access to the best athletes. And everybody in the secondary wanted to be a part of something that he was building with that posse you're talking about. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Coach Akina is definitely encouraging all his guys, get on special teams, go make an impact, because he wants the DBs to make an impact all throughout the team, right? Not just in the secondary.
And it seemed like his secondaries, it seemed like that was your foot in the door, was on special teams. I mean, throughout the years, I mean, I can remember, Curtis Brown and Shockey Brown, Aaron Williams started out on special teams. Kenny Vaccaro was a star on teams. Miguel Thompson was good on teams. Adrian Phillips was good.
Mike Griff early on.
Exactly. When they were young guys. So that could be, for Jonah Williams or Zealous Hicks, you may not get a ton of run at safety, but go back and look at Trey Wisner in 2023.
Yeah.
What was Trey Wisner best at? He was a demon covering kicks. And you could just tell, like, to your point a minute ago, Rod, the coaches could tell, dude, this guy busts his tail every time he's out there, and he's going to give us maximum effort. That translated to running back. If you do that on teams and they think that can translate to corner or safety or nickel or wherever, that's your foot in the door right there.
Big word with guys, trust. Guys have to earn his trust, and that's a great way to earn it, is on special teams. Good point.
Hey, Rod, this may be a good question to end on for you. Andrew McCuba, tremendous season. Really good football player. Michael Taft does return. That position also got hit with injury with Derek Williams last year, which opened the door for Jelani McDonald's growth to accelerate. Do you see a scenario where Texas not be better? Because I think McCuba was could they be as good at this position next year?
I think they could. I know that's crazy to say because Makuba came in with a ton of swag, playmaking ability, football IQ through the roof. But I do think Derek Williams was trending in the right direction there. If Michael Taft picks up where he left off, no reason to think he won't. And Derek Williams and Jelani McDonald take that leap now. We don't know exactly where Jelani McDonald's going to be, but if he takes that leap and we can see conceptually, schematically, them start playing more three safeties, more three high defenses. We can see more of that dime package. And I got to tell you, if they play more of that dime package, something tells me you're going to have more safeties on the field than you had like the corner coverage guys last year, just because they're such freakish athletes. So I think the ceiling is extremely high for this group, man. I really do. They got a ton of depth and talented depth. One of those terms Jeff always uses. I mean, yes, your third team guys are going to be what Jonah Williams and like Zealous Hicks will be kind of your third team safety. That's getting back to the DBU that I was in when we had guys like, young Michael Huff and young Cedric Griffin, and those guys were coming up through that secondary, and we all knew the guys like myself who are already been established, those guys are going to be better than us. They know, but just give them some time.
Gerry, I think the answer to your question, Gerry, is yes. If one of Rod's words comes to fruition with Jelani McDonald, if they weaponize him, and really get the most out of him, and then you think about it at all three levels. With Colin Simmons at edge, Anthony Hill at linebacker, and Jelani McDonald at safety, you've got three of the most versatile guys you can weaponize in the SEC, maybe in the country. And I don't know if anybody's going to have three guys you can weaponize at all three levels the way this Texas defense is going to have.
And I would end with this. My last comment on safeties is this. As good as the Taft-Makuba combo were last year, they missed Derek Williams against teams that ran the football.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so it's important to put all those pieces together, and it's going to be more than two, because Derek Williams was your top run support guy at safety, and they did lose something when they lost him. So that's again for the kids or the parents that watch the shows, it's not just about the first two. You need 3 and 4 of those guys to be reliable, and you need to almost have different strengths in a weird way to be as multiple as what Rod's talking about, and be good against the run and the pass, because it may be different guys that play different snaps against different opponents.
Agreed. Yep, you got that kind of versatility. And those guys are alley cats. Derek Williams, Jelani McDonald, they run the alley. Ooh, like a mofo. All right, let's thank our friends over at Von Lane. If you're tired of the hassle of flying or driving in Texas to the 3 major cities, Austin, Houston, and Dallas, trust me, folks, it can be a hassle. Our friends over at Von Lane, they have the perfect solution. Next time you travel between Austin, Dallas, and Houston, Fort Worth, or San Antonio, skip the stress and ride Von Lane, your private jet on wheels. Arrive just minutes before your departure at one of Von Lane's centrally located luxurious hotel partners. Settle into your spacious reclining seat with tons of leg room and personal space, and enjoy complimentary Wi-Fi, complimentary snacks and drinks, and even meals on select departures, all while you sit back and relax. Experience travel the way it should be. Visit vonlane.com and use the promo code OTF25 for $20 off your first trip. That's Von Lane, first class travel without the hassle. Remember to use that code OTF25 at vonlane.com for $20 off your first trip. Thank you very much to Von Lane for sponsoring our spring position previews. Thank you very much, Gerry, as well, for all the expertise. Jeff, thanks for all the great nuggets. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes, the real MVP, and for Matthew, for Jeff, for Gerry. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.